Really excited to hear from EarHealth. Amanda Smith will be presenting, and Amanda grew up playing the violin and studied abroad in Italy while she was in college. She's accompanied by Mary, her colleague at Hopkins, who played college lacrosse at the University of Maryland and, wait for it, won a national championship. But perhaps what I want to applaud the most, congratulations, Mary, Amanda. They both had newborn baby boys this past fall. So just so folks are aware, when we heard the initial pitches, Dr. Hasselfeld, Mark Comiskey, myself, Jasmine, Dr. Naji, we got to hear from the ladies in a recorded environment because they were on maternity leave. So congratulations to both of you, and let's hear about EarHealth.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Amanda Smith, and this is Dr. Mary Donahue, and we're clinical audiologists. We're here today to talk to you about EarHealth, an early auditory intervention hearing screening tool. Meet Henry and Anita. Henry is a 55-year-old successful attorney and primary earner for his family. Unfortunately, over the past several years, Henry isn't performing well in the courtroom. He's becoming socially withdrawn and not attending social outings with friends. He's become concerned for his mental health and follows up with a therapist for concerns related to depression. Anita is a 73-year-old grandmother who loves to play card games and talk on the phone with her grandchildren. Her family is noticing that she's becoming quiet and not engaged in family gatherings and is becoming very forgetful. Her family decides that maybe she should see a doctor for concerns related to dementia. So what do these people and their stories really have in common? Well, they're individuals with undiagnosed hearing loss. The social isolation, decline in job performance, and memory loss are secondary effects to untreated hearing loss. As audiologists, we see people just like them every single day. There's a social, mental, and physical decline associated with hearing loss, and early intervention in the form of early loss detection and remediation, these issues will continue to persist without this intervention. Hearing loss is becoming the norm across all age groups. Approximately 48 million Americans have hearing loss. That comes down to 1 in 5 people. Using power tools, attending loud concerts, and occupational noise exposure are all examples of everyday habits that we don't realize in our younger years affects us as we age. Without proper hearing protection and routine hearing screenings, fast forward a few years and you too might find yourself saying, what? According to the World Health Organization, 60% of hearing loss is due to avoidable causes. Early identification and screening is essential to management. In 2020, there are currently 430 million people that suffer from hearing loss, with that estimate growing to over 700 million by 2050. Now, hearing health affects everyday life, but how does that look in terms of cost? Those with severe hearing loss had unemployment rates of 15.6%, which is nearly double that of their aided peers. Financially, untreated hearing loss can decrease one's annual income by as much as $30,000. Additionally, 10 decibel loss in hearing can equate to 20% more likelihood to develop dementia. Those with untreated hearing loss can incur substantially higher medical costs, about 46% higher compared to those who don't have hearing loss, totaling to about $22,000 per person over a decade. There are developmental risks such as social isolation, which is evident in the story of Henry and Anita. So how might we alleviate this public health need and get people like Henry and Anita in to get their hearing tested sooner? Introducing EarHealth. It's an early auditory intervention hearing screening. EarHealth will provide the user with a reliable and accurate self-assessment hearing screening that displays the results in the form of an audiogram and can be performed right on your phone or computer. It will be designed as an open API for easy integration into the existing platforms of our potential clients. So what is an audiogram? It's a graphic representation of your hearing. The left side of the graph represents low pitch. In terms of speech sounds, that would be like A, E, O, that gives you volume from speech. Versus the right side, which is high pitch. In terms of speech sounds, are like K and F. That gives you speech clarity because it's usually making up the ends of words. So someone with this hearing loss, like seen in this graph here, would have a bilateral high frequency hearing loss. So that person would have difficulty with speech clarity and hearing in the presence of background noise. EarHealth users would be provided with an explanation, much like I just did, of their loss and how that deficit could be applied to their everyday life. We understand that binaural testing and interpretation of results are basic level measures of a good hearing screening. Where EarHealth differentiates itself is in our technological solutions, such as a continuous sound level meter, test randomization, and integration with a medical record.
Now, who are we going to serve? We aim to serve population-level membership-based organizations such as ARP and AAA. These organizations have three things in common. One, they serve individuals in the 50+ category. Two, they have established platforms to disseminate our tool to their existing members. And three, they care about communication and community. They care about Henry and Anita's story. They value preserving health and promoting self-care, as well as driving brand engagement. How do we know these organizations care? Well, in an article on the AARP website discussing the consequences of untreated hearing loss leading to higher hospitalization rates and medical costs, Chief Medical Officer Charlotte Yeh is quoted saying, "To me, the message from this research is get your hearing tested." Additionally, AARP has membership benefits with Walgreens, whom will be dispensing over-the-counter hearing devices once FDA approval is received. Now, we're also going to be interested to look at partnerships with OSHA, American Red Cross, and Doctors Without Borders. These organizations need a reliable, accessible, clinically validated tool to distribute to their members to identify at-risk people for hearing loss. There are 98 million users within AARP and AAA. 64 million of those users fall within our targeted age range. Now, we estimate that 41 million users would be able to use and engage with our hearing screening application tool. We aim to bring value to our clients by driving brand engagement. EarHealth will serve as a seamless integration to the values of these organizations and their need to create sustainable active memberships. These members fund companies through subscription fees and sponsored purchases. EarHealth will entice the user back through checkouts, which promotes frequency and reach for sponsored content. We are going to be using an enterprise subscription model for organizations that they could purchase. This subscription model would be 10 cents per test that a member takes. Additionally, we are going to look at specialized firms. So the nature of work creating risk for employees of hearing losses, manufacturing, and occupational noise exposure. Our specialized firm solution is great for smaller businesses focused on providing low-cost employee benefits as well as promoting employee wellness. We will license to these organizations based off of volume. After completing many SME interviews, we are asking for $300,000 to build EarHealth. $200,000 would be used for app development as we plan to design EarHealth's interface as an open API. We would also need alpha and beta testing along with quality control consulting. The additional $100,000 would be used toward operations and business development. Between functional test and launch, we understand that there are several phases of development. We are thrilled to say that we are partnering with Dr. Matthew Stewart as he routinely travels to Colombia and Cameroon to perform minor surgeries. Our audiometric test results will be valuable for him to treat and care for the patients in these rural populations. Currently, we are actually completing clinical trials, comparing existing tools to our gold standard booth testing. This will allow us to hone in on particular vulnerabilities in the existing solutions. Ultimately, we plan to launch a web-based screening application through partnerships. Our most valued proposition is allowing people to test their hearing in their own home. We understand that hearing loss and hearing aids can make you feel old. We want to give you the confidence that you need and deserve to communicate with your community. We value communication with family members and friends and believe that everyone should have the opportunity to get the great health care that they are deserved. We are EarHealth. We aim to bring the most reliable, accurate hearing assessment tool to your home. And Amanda and I feel that we are the people to be doing that for you. We care about your hearing health, and we care about allowing you to engage with your community. Thank you for your time. We're happy to answer any questions.
Great work, Amanda and Mary. Thank you so much. And we will hand it off to the judges to hear their feedback. Chris?
Great job, ladies. It was a very clear, easy to understand pitch. It's a much bigger problem than a lot of people think it is, and it impacts so many other parts of our lives. So applaud the focus on ear health. I think the other thing that really struck me was going to the partnering route with AARP and others makes so much sense. That's a great way to get to a lot of customers very quickly and help a lot of people. I think the area that I would focus on as you're starting to develop the app and the process is that you're going to run into a lot of different hardware configurations when you're working with different types of browsers, different types of computers. And that's where you're really going to have to spend a lot of time and effort trying to normalize different pieces of hardware to get accurate readings. But if you can do that and create a accurate tool, I think it's going to be a great company, and it's also going to be a great opportunity for people to take care of their ear health. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Eileen?
Yeah, congratulations. That was a great pitch. And as somebody who suffers from middle ear disorder, really quickly. And one of the things that I think perhaps that is really compelling is connecting it to the exposure, the risk of dementia and mental health. And I think those are two areas of huge concern. And it really drives, I have to say, I've had a number of friends that got got really tuned in to their hearing problems with the increased risk of dementia. So I think that might be something to emphasize in mental health because they're such hot issues. I thought the need is really, I think, huge, and I applaud your intervention. A challenge might be also to get the clarity of that assessment. You're usually in a soundproof booth, really screened, and so there may be some challenges to that. But I think if it sets up well versus the gold standard, or it becomes a preliminary final validation, there's tremendous promise. So thank you for sharing that innovation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy?
First of all, let me just say ditto to my previous colleague, to Eileen and Chris's comments. I couldn't agree with them more. And this is something that every person can understand. The hearing is, one of these senses that you just get, and we all have this desire to want to maintain that going forward. And so I think this is a great tool to do that. I just want to double click on something that Chris said, because you mentioned kind of two ways to get to market, one being the partner route and one potentially through a Walgreens. Those are two very different channels. And so as you think about, particularly as a startup company, being able to focus on one or the other, because those are two different skill sets in terms of the types of individuals, the relationships, and the management of those. And, worrying about shelf space is a very different conversation and managing a partnership with an AARP or AAA. So I just ask you to, I think the vision is fine, but how you go about the first one you do, I think a little bit about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.